Hello. Hey Liliana, I'm sorry that I've been so late in actually sending you this video, but this is a video that will hopefully help you and help the future English teacher maybe get some good ideas, things that worked for me with the children, things that were successful in them learning English and learning to read and even start writing some. So I'll first just start out and kind of explain how we started each day in the classroom, regardless of whatever activity we were going to do once inside the classroom. Every single day, I was always big on having them line up, and I think just in general at the school we'd always want them to line up and to be uh, formed well in their lines. So as they came out the door, they would be in a line, and I'd always have something like I'd say, "Okay, be soldiers," and they learned over time. I'd say, soldados, soldiers, be soldiers, and they would learn how to say soldiers, and they'd be soldiers in their line. And then we'd usually march into, at least in the area where I was, we'd march into the classroom, and then we'd say stop. We'd all stop. And sometimes we'd play a game while standing there. All right, touch your head, touch your shoulders, touch your stomach, hands on your hips, hands by your side. And they got really good at that. All this in the line before they actually entered the classroom. They got to the point where I could just touch something and they would say head, nose, shoulders, and some of them would even say touch your shoulders, which is really great, just through repetition every single day playing that kind of game. Then once they were actually kind of inside, about ready to go and sit down in the classroom, because where I was, we'd actually enter into a big space, and then there'd be like another doorway that entered into the actual classroom where the carpet was, where we had lessons. So they'd stop at that doorway, and before they could enter, almost every single day, they had to answer a question. So they're in line before they can go inside. I would ask each individual child a question. So in the beginning, it was just a really easy question, and even towards the end, how are you? And I would tell them what it meant, and I would tell them what the answer was fine, so until they got to the point where they could answer this. And it was actually, for some kids it was really easy, they'd say fine immediately. Other kids, it was months before they'd even say fine. Other questions would be, how old are you? What color is your shirt? These would be the questions that we would do before they ever entered the classroom every single day. Once they answered their question, they could go and sit down. And sometimes there's some children you'll come across, and this is just in anything, not just in this game, that may not answer or whatever. I'd try not to pressure them, I'd give them the answer, so if Daniela didn't want to say anything, I'd say, how are you? Fine? Okay. And then she could go sit down. So that was the first thing that we did every single day. They'd come in then, and they'd sit down in silence, and then once sitting down, we always sat on the carpet. We never really did anything with chairs. We always sat down on the carpet in the classroom. The first thing we would do sitting down was either, we'd sometimes sing a song first, but we always did the helper. So the helpers was the first thing we did every day. And what the helpers were, basically on a wall I had hanging up these little hooks, and I'd made them out of paper, you can make them out of whatever, little hooks, and I had name tags, so a name for each child that was in that class. So, if there were 10 children in the class, I had 10 little name tags with, all of their names that was hanging or in a basket separate. And I would take that basket, or I would take all those name tags down, we'd put it in the middle of the circle on the floor, turn them all over, and I'd randomly choose one. And whoever's name came up was the helper of the day. And I loved this, I got really excited. So whoever the helper was, let's say it was Amelia, would get to take her name tag that I just pulled or I just turned over, go and hang it up on those hooks. And so basically by the end of the week, or by 2 weeks, everyone's name should be hanging up, and that kind of helped them know I've already had a turn, I've already got to be the helper, and they got to hang it up anyway. They hang it up, then everyone's still sitting down in the circle. The helper gets to go with me to the calendar. And in the calendar, we did a couple of different things. First, I would ask the exact same questions every single day. And I think that's good in any routine for the child, just to hear the same phrases over and over, so they could get to, number one, understand it, but then some of the children even got to the point when they were the helper, they could ask the questions to the class. So the first question I would say was, okay, what day was yesterday? And in the beginning I would translate stuff from, so they'd know what I was saying. What day was yesterday? A lot of them got to the point where they could tell me what day yesterday was. It was Tuesday yesterday. Okay, it was Tuesday, so what day is today? And then they would tell me it was Wednesday. We also had, if they got stuck on it, they couldn't remember what day of the week it was, we had a song that went with it that was really helpful and great, because songs are amazing. And there's Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and there's Friday, and then there's Saturday. Did-it-didn't, 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 did-it-didn't. So if they couldn't remember the day, we'd sing that song, and I might say there's Sunday and there's Monday, and they'd say Tuesday. Oh, okay. So they got to pick out what day of the week it was, and then I say, what number day is it? And again, the helper, we get to count on the calendar all the days up until the day we were on. So if it was, the 18th or something, they would go all the way 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then they'd get to pull out the actual number from the basket where we had all the calendar numbers and then tape it up on there. 18. Alright, so today is Tuesday the 18th of, what month is it? May 2008. And this was something that over time, because we repeated it every single day, they would eventually start saying it with me, which was great. Then also the calendar, we would choose what kind of day it was, so the weather. And there was actually these weather cards that I had. I think I took all the string off everything in the classroom, but I had taped string on the back so that they could be hung up on the calendar. And so they got to say, today is sunny, and they get to pick out the sunny one and hang it up underneath the calendar. Alright, so after we did the calendar every day, we would then go to the morning message. So, we pick the helpers, we do the calendar, then we go to the morning message. And the morning message, again, is something special for the helper. The morning message was actually a place on the wall that had a sign that said morning message, and I would say, what does this say? Morning message, and they would say it with me. And basically every single day I'd write out a separate message on a piece of paper for each class. For the younger kids, and for a long time for the older kids, it was the exact same thing every single day, basically so they could memorize it. And it said, good morning children, today is Tuesday. Bruno is the helper today. Love, Lisa. And they memorized it, and we would all say it together. So I'd say, it's the morning message. Everyone would say that with me. And I'd say, what does it say? And we'd all read it together. Good morning, children. Today is Tuesday. Bruno is the helper. Love, Lisa. And they'd all say it together. This was good for the children who didn't speak English because it was something they could memorize and say and even begin to make that association of reading something. Even though they weren't really reading it, it was still the idea of seeing it and saying it at the same time. For the older kids, some of the older children they'd memorize stuff. They even got to the point where they could read it. They could read it by themselves, then we might all read it together. And then the great thing that everyone loved was to be able to take the morning message home. So the helper got to take their morning message home.